Okay. Thank you for being here we're going to start the evening with our swearing in of our new board members. And we do have Judge Riggs here to do that. But first, I would like to introduce our elected officials who are here tonight. We have several council members and our supervisor and our constable. So if you can stand when I have your names, and then when I say your names, and so we can acknowledge your presence. So we have Councilman Wade, Councilwoman Chapados. We have Councilman Vincent Manfredi. We have Councilwoman Nancy Smith. We have Constable Roberts. And we have Pinell County Supervisor Tony Smith. Did I miss where is Councilman Brown? See, you were sitting behind the tall guy. Councilman Brown. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the city's support with what MUSD is doing, and it really means a lot to us to have the city present at this event. This is a big deal for us because we've got an amazing board, as you know. So, with that, I would like to turn the time over to Judge Riggs to swear in our new board members. So if our new board members would please go to the front. You're going to do this all at the same time? One. Ooh, pressure's on. I'll tell you. Anna Marie Knorr.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of governing board member for Maricopa Unified School District number 20 according to the best of my abilities. So help me God. Congratulations.
And this is Patty Coutre, in case we didn't know.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of governing board member for the Maricopa Unified District number 20 according to the best of my abilities. So help me God. Congratulations.
And this is Dr. Gary Miller, who is joining our team, and we're excited.
I state your name. I, Gary Miller, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Arizona,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and defend them
against
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
of the office
of governing board member for Maricopa Unified District Number 20
for Maricopa Unified District Number 20
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Before we go into our next meeting, can I get all the council members that are here and any other elected officials? Can we get a group picture with the board, all the elected officials that are in the room at this time? If we can come up on here and we can use the different steps. And Mr. Beckett, he's our paid photographer. He gets the big bucks. Yeah, ask Judge Riggs. Yeah. Yeah, we're one big team, man.
Can't see us, we can't see you. Ready? Just like when we One, two, three. Let's do one more. And one, two, three.
Don't move this. Okay, now let's round up.
knew my kids couldn't be here, so
John and Nicole who?
they're sitting in the back. The three ladies sitting in the back.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I'm going to give you my new cards since I have official cards too. I have official cards. Here we go. That's the never ending now, folks. Yeah, I printed them right before I came here.
Yeah, mine got smudged a little.
Yeah, whatever. All right, let me get logged in and we can start. No. All right. Thank you. That was a wonderful lead-in to our meeting. So do I have anybody else that needs to do a speaker card that wants to come to call to the public? The cards are out on the table out in the foyer. If you'll fill those out and hand it to Dr. Chestnut, that would be great. Board, we ready? Okay.
Technical difficulties with training.
Did you get logged in?
Yes.
Okay. The recorder? Okay. Are we ready? All right. I have 6:53. I would like to call the governing board meeting to order on January 14th. Mrs. Hahn, roll call.
Tori Anderson,
Present.
Patty Boucher,
Present.
Leslie Carlisle Barnett,
Here.
Anne Marie Moore,
Present.
Gary Miller.
Present.
Thank you. For our Pledge of Allegiance, I would like Lindsay, who is our spelling bee finalist, if she will stand up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. She is from Santa Cruz Elementary School. Go ahead. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Does anybody have any changes? I have one thing to pull out. From the consent agenda, item 6E, I would like to move it to the top of the action items just so we can discuss and get some information on that item. Okay. All right, so with that change, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve as amended.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have an agenda. Moving forward, that brings us to our call to the public. I only have one person. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for a future agenda. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes or less, and that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate, pursuant to board policy KFA. So I have Mr. Joshua Judd. Come on up. We've missed you.
Good evening. Congratulations to the three of you for your successful bid on getting back 2 seats and for the new seat. My name is Josh Judd, Maricopa resident, proud parent of 3 Pima Butte Mustangs. I'm here tonight, just have a few things to put out to the public. First, how proud we are of having such a wonderful board in receiving the award recently. Everyone knows how hard you work, and the city appreciates all the work that you put into this job. It can be thankless, I'm sure, most of the time. Also, for members of the public that aren't aware, you can affect budget issues at the state level, okay? You have the ability to be able to communicate with the state. Right now, that's what's going to be getting sorted out as Governor Ducey takes office. You have the ability to be able to communicate with the state and push for money for our education system. There are going to be some unfunded mandates coming out very soon concerning students being able to graduate with passing a civics test. As of right now, that doesn't seem like there's any money that's going to be set aside for that. If that's something that you would like to push for, you can push for that. I know a lot of times the states, state governments, federal governments will place these burdens on the school system, but they don't give any additional funding to help those projects along. So please go to the websites, try to communicate with your representatives, and push for those issues. Push for that money so that we can get the funds that we need to make sure that these things happen. And it is a great thing. It's a great thing. We should have our students passing a civics test to be able to graduate. I'm a history teacher myself, and I think it's a great thing. But it would be nice occasionally for the state to give some funds in order to get us some more materials so we can make that happen. Also, there is the issue of unresolved funds set aside from the decision about Arizona being able to properly fund the schools over several years, and this money that seems to be in limbo, where a court decision's already been made, but yet the schools aren't seeing any of that money. So hopefully that money starts filtering its way down to the school systems, but that's going to take public pressure. So please, again, contact the state. Try to get that money out of their hands so we can get it down here to MUSD. Again, congratulations to the 3 of you. Thank you for your time this evening, and it's good to see all of you. I'm completely healed, and I'll be back on a regular basis. Have a good night.
Seeing that I don't have any other speaker cards, we will move on. And that brings us to Dr. Chestnut's superintendent report.
Thank you, President Anderson, members of the governing board. I have a few things to report on tonight. First, Samantha Dugan with the student representative report from Maricopa High School. As you know, Samantha is our student body president there, and she has a few things to share with us. Thanks for being here, Samantha.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Just wanted to let you guys know about a few things that are going on at the high school. This Friday, we have the girls' basketball game. It's a rivalry game against Williamsfield. It's going to be a huge game. We're doing a Spirit Week right now at our school for it, and it is a whiteout, and we'd love the community to come out and support. A few congratulations for a couple things at our school. The DECA team brought home 32 medals from regionals this past week, I think last week, I'm sorry. And another congratulations to Sergeant Deshaun Gregory. He was awarded Teacher of the Year from BFW. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samantha. Well, congratulations to Patty Coutre, Anna Marie Knorr, and Gary Miller on election to the MUSD Governing Board, and it was fun and exciting to see you all sworn in. And we have a tradition, and that is that once you become elected to the governing board, you really become an honorary Maricopa High School RAM, and you need RAM gear. And one of the most popular pieces of gear that you need to have is a foam finger that says, "We are number one." Since you already have the foam finger.
Oh, nice.
Patty's been on the board before, but that was last time she was elected, we hadn't started the foam finger tradition, so we had to get caught up there. So now everybody has a foam finger. We're number one, and we're very excited to be working with Gary Miller as our new board member, and congratulations to Patty and Anna Marie. More congratulations, and you probably know about this, but we really haven't acknowledged this in a governing board meeting. On December 11th, the MUSD Governing Board was named the 2014 Arizona School Board Association Board of the Year. And you can't really miss it, but we have the trophy sitting right there, just in case you weren't aware of that. But we're very, very excited about this award. The official name is the Llewellyn Klein's Award of Excellence, and it is awarded to one governing board in the state of Arizona each year that exemplifies best practice and really the striving for excellence that our board demonstrates. And it does not mean that we have it all figured out as a school district, or that we're an A+ district or anything like that. It means that we're moving in the right direction, though. And I know that these board members work very hard, and that award was well deserved. So it was very exciting to receive that award, and we're going to keep bragging about that as long as we possibly can. So congratulations to MUSD Governing Board. Yeah, just one final factoid on that. There's 227 public school districts, not counting charter districts, but elementary, unified, high school districts out of 227. That's really quite an accomplishment. Also, that same day, that was a big week, a big day, on December 11th, Tori Anderson was elected as Arizona School Board Association Secretary on the Executive Board. So congratulations to Tori Anderson. So that's a very time-consuming job, and it takes a lot of hours, but Tori's very dedicated as a governing board member, and I know she'll be equally dedicated as a member of the executive committee for ASBA, so that's a great honor for Tori Anderson. Other things that I want to make sure you knew about, and you've probably seen this in the paper, but that same week it was announced that Elisha Donaldson was voted first team All-State by the coaches of the state of Arizona in Division III. So we're very proud of Elisha, wide receiver. And one thing I really like about that award is they call it a student. They always refer to the players as student athletes, which really they are. And our students have to maintain their eligibility. They have to perform in the classroom to be able to perform on the athletic field. And Elisha's out there, of course, doing a great job, and we're proud of him and his athletic accomplishments, but also his academic accomplishments as well. Also, you may have missed this. I don't know that this was well covered, but on December 20th, Maricopa High School Rams boys basketball team played Coolidge at U.S. Airways Arena, which is kind of a big deal. And there's the proof right there in the picture with the Phoenix Suns logo in the top there. But I know that was a real thrill for the boys. I wasn't able to attend, but that's pretty cool that they got to play there. Other news, last week on the 7th and 8th, Maricopa Wells Middle School and Desert Wind Middle School Future Cities competition was held. And upper left picture there is the Maricopa Wells, one of the Maricopa Wells teams. And bottom right is one of the Desert Wind Middle School teams. The top 8 teams from each school advanced to the state competition at ASU, which is this Saturday. So it's coming right up. It's a really big deal, and I've judged this contest 3 years in a row, and I am just so impressed with the way those presentations get better every year. The projects get better every year, not just the actual models and the cities that the students build, but the entire presentation, the oral presentation, the research that goes into it, the extra work. Our teachers are doing a wonderful job of continuing to raise that bar. And of course, we've had students now in the program for 3 years. So those 8th graders were particularly strong teams, but even the teams that had 6th and 7th graders on them just did a really nice job. And it was exciting to be a part of that at Maricopa Wells. I wasn't able to participate at Desert Wind. I think Tori did. So that's a very cool thing, and we wish them luck. You know, last year we had our first top 5 finish. I believe we finished 2nd in state last year. So, you know, we're hoping to to bring home some hardware, but just to be able to compete at that level is pretty exciting for our students. It's just a wonderful academic project, multifaceted, brings out tons of creativity and research and application of math and science, and it's a great project for our students. Also, on the 24th, the Educator of the Year will be announced at the Chamber of Commerce banquet. And the three finalists for that award are Betty Graham from Pima Butte Elementary, Deborah Coles from Maricopa Elementary School, and Susanna Buisson from Butterfield Elementary School. So they are well known as three of our most outstanding teachers. And, you know, I'm glad I don't have to make the decision between which one gets the grand prize, gets the award. So we'll be announcing that, of course, but you'll need to be looking for that, and just three of our great teachers being recognized. Also want to remind you that the annual kindergarten roundup takes place on Tuesday, January 27th, 5:30 to 6:30 at all 6 elementary sites for next school year. So it doesn't seem possible, but it's already time to start thinking about next school year, but it is. And so parents that are interested in participating can check the website for additional information and be ready to do that on the 27th. And I will come back later and give you an update on the Budget Committee meeting on January 7th. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Dr. Chestnut. That brings us to our governing board reports. I have a couple things. Does anybody else want to jump in there?
I have one thing that last week, Desert Rim Middle School held a parent university. They had 2 presentations. One was from the Attorney General on cyberbullying, and the other one was from Not My Kid on self-harm. It was a little disappointing that there wasn't a lot of attendance, but I do appreciate them offering these workshops and these speakers coming in, because these topics are really near and dear to all parents out there. One of our main goals is to provide a safe environment for our students. And so it's really important as parents and community members that you take advantage of these opportunities. And I know they're going to be doing future ones, and I hope that you all come out to it, because it was really informative.
And is it January 28th where NAMI is going to have a presentation to the community on mental health?
Coming up this month, but I don't.
I have it on my calendar.
Good.
It is January 28th, and it's at 3:30 at the PAC Center. That's what I have down, 3:30 to 5:30. It's a mental health presentation, and that is free for those that would like to go. Thank you for reminding us. A couple things. It's been a really busy month for me, so as well as everybody else. Last week I had the pleasure of being able to judge the Future Cities competition at Desert Wind, and I was amazed at the civil engineers and how they had to plan for one protein and one vegetable and how they were going to grow it and then get rid of the waste material and recycle everything. So it was these kids were amazing. So if you ever have a chance to look at that, please do. I know the high school participated this year, and Saturday the kids were so excited to be able to go up to ASU and give their presentations to the engineers. So it's quite an accomplishment for our students. The other thing, I had the wonderful pleasure of being able to be the pronouncer at the district spelling bee, which was last night here at the boardroom. And we do have one of our winners, which is Lindsay. Oh, we have 2. Joey is here too. Okay, so I would like Joey Rusinello and Lindsay to come on up. Joey, you're from Pima Butte, right? Oh, Santa Rosa. And then Lindsay is from Santa Cruz. And I just wanted parents and everyone to see these amazing students. It was tough. Weren't you guys scared last night? I was scared. I studied, and it was scary. But I also wanted to acknowledge their parents and their teachers. So let me shake your hands again. You guys were amazing. Come here, Joey. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Joey. Thanks for being here. Some of the words were tough. I had to spend time figuring out how to pronounce them. So they were amazing. All right, so next, I started my ASBA position with meetings from Thursday until Sunday. So it was quite interesting. I've been there before, but it was pretty intense talking about the lawsuit, and we're getting ready. We're going into our legislative sessions, and I don't know if any of you have been watching and following along with the State of the State address. But there's going to be some very interesting topics come up that are really going to affect public education. And if you have not already registered on the Register to Speak, you can do that at azsba.org. And you can get your name and your email address so that you can get the legislative updates whenever anything happens at the legislation. And then if there is a bill that you want to comment on, you can log in from home and comment, and it goes right to your representative right before they vote. So it's very important that we take action and get involved in some of these decisions that are being made. So if you would like to get the updates, go to azsba.org, and you can get all the updates as they come in and as they affect public education. So it's important that we do that. Other than that, I'm ready for a break. It's like I'm tired already. All right, so those are my announcements. So we will go ahead and move on to our information items. Dr. Chestnut.
As you know, we have a tradition of having a report annually from each school, and that gives a little information on academic progress and other things going on. And it's my pleasure to introduce Principal Felicia Williams from Saddleback Elementary, and I will turn it over to her.
Good evening, Governing Board, President Anderson, Governing Board members. Congratulations to our newest 3 members, Dr. Chestnut. I am Felicia Williams, and I am here to talk about Saddleback Elementary, specifically our reading and our mathematics goals for the 2014-2015 school year. So at Saddleback Elementary, we have approximately 671 students. That does not include the several students that we received this week now that Christmas is over. So several students joined us this week, so that 671 isn't the accurate number, but it's pretty close. So of those 671 students, 38% of those students are Hispanic, 28% are Caucasian, Native American accounts for 16%, African American 11%, and then Asian and Pacific Islander 3%. Of those 671 students, 24% of our population is special education. So 24% of our students have an IEP within grades K through 6. Our school, the 671, I don't want to throw anyone off, that does include preschool. So we have preschool through 6th grade. But the 24%, that includes just the kindergarten through 6th grade students. Our ELL population is 10%, and our gifted population is less than 1%. We have 60 staff members at Saddleback Elementary. They're listed there on the slide, what they do. 56% of our teachers actually hold a master's degree, so that's pretty commendable, considering that only most of our teachers are young teachers, so the average teaching years of experience is 6 years. So to have a master's degree and 6 years of experience, that says a lot. So now we're going to move on to mathematics. Our school-wide goal, by the end of the 2014-15 school year, it is our expectation that 75% or more of our 1st through 6th grade students meet or exceed in mathematics. And we measure that by our end-of-the-year Galileo post-assessment. Ideally, we would like 100% of our students to meet or exceed. Unfortunately, we have to set, well, not unfortunately, but we want to set realistic goals. So realistically, we anticipate this year 75%, but obviously we want more. Currently, our teachers, they use beyond textbooks to align the career and college readiness standards to map out their instruction. All of our teachers also use our district's math problem solving in their instruction daily. We use math talks and number talks from the district's initiative from Math Solutions. This year, we also have a robotics club, and that's thanks to the Ak-Chin Maricopa STEAM Foundation, so I'm hoping that this will also impact our math scores. Students are routinely progress monitored by completing quarterly problem-solving benchmark assessments, as well as our BT formatives and Galileo assessments. Our teachers also collaborate weekly. Every single day they do have a prep period, and they plan our 30-minute RTI block each day for mathematics. And that's where our students are leveled according to their abilities, and they get direct instruction for their specific needs. So the graph that is displayed for you, it shows you where we currently are. So our current percentage is actually in blue, and our end of the year goal, it's the same for everyone, it's 75%. So as you can see, kindergarten and sixth grade have both met our mathematics goal for the school year. I'd like to highlight sixth grade because sixth grade is a special grade. Last year, our fourth and fifth grade scores had a large impact on our end of the year letter grade. So fourth and fifth grade math wasn't exactly what we anticipated at the end of the school year, so we're working really hard. And as you can see, those fifth grade students are now at 81%. So we're very, very happy about that. And I'd like to give kudos to our math teacher. He's not here, but Mr. Kevin Connell, he is largely responsible for that. We also have the 21st Century program at our school this year. This is the very first year for that. And Kevin gives up every evening to teach in that. So kudos to Mr. Connell for doing that. As you can see, third, fourth, and fifth grade scores dropped, and they aren't necessarily where we want them to be, but we're working very, very hard, and we're confident that these grade levels will meet our school-wide growth our expectation by the end of the school year. So next we'll move on to reading, and again, it is also 75%. That's where our goal is, so we expect all of our K through sixth grade students, 75% of them to meet or exceed on our tests. Again, the teachers use beyond textbooks. We also use closed reading within our school, and that's actually a district initiative. So that's something that came from the district down, and we're doing that in all of our buildings. But we use closed reading. Socratic seminars is something that we have adopted within our school. Our academic coach who is here, Mrs. Jane Tiff, that is near and dear to her heart. So she has gotten teachers on board, and we're excited about doing Socratic seminars, and that's helping our kids just think and cite evidence within the text and also justify their answers. We have a program called Raz Kids, and I don't know if you all are aware of Learning A to Z. It's an online program. We actually were gifted this program through one of our grant writers, Howard Zulte, that most of you are very familiar with. So Howard called and said, would you like? And I said, absolutely, we would love it. So we are using Raz Kids, and that's helping our reading scores tremendously. We also have a 30-minute intervention block for reading each week, and teachers use their data to drive these blocks. If you look at the graph, kindergarten, first, second, fifth, and sixth have all met our 75% goal, so that is amazing. First grade met, and I think that is largely because we have amazing first grade teachers, but we also have a Move On reading teacher, Valerie Wyant, so many of you may know her, and she pulls our first graders, and their scores have increased tremendously, so we are very grateful for that. Third is very close to the 70%. Fourth grade is also very close, and they are at 73%. So that pretty much speaks to our reading and our math. I don't know if there are any other questions you may have, but if you do, I'm happy to answer them.
Do the other schools have the reading program that Mr. Zulte wrote the grant for, or is it only at your school?
It is Saddleback, Santa Cruz, and MES. They are also participating. Some schools may have it, but they may pay for it.
Right.
We're not paying for it.
Okay.
Right.
The teachers will use the Beyond textbook curriculum map.
Yes.
When will 100% of that curriculum be in play at the school?
Well, last year, they worked on the Common Core math standards. The Vail School District this year, it was the reading that was implemented. So we have math and reading Common Core standards right now. So we have both. Any other
Your
questions?
scores are impressive.
Thank you, thank you. So we hope to keep growing, and those grades that aren't quite there yet, we're working hard to get them there, and we hope to have great results for you at the end of the school year. Yes.
I like your, is this the end?
Yes.
Oh, I like your positive report very much. Usually the principals will give us maybe their biggest challenges so that we're aware of that as we contemplate, policies and then of course the budget for next year. So what would you say are your biggest challenges?
Well, I think at Saddleback, parental involvement is something that we deal with, the lack of parental involvement. However, this year we've increased that, so we're working hard to increase that, just getting parents on board. We have different raffles, you know, to entice them, not to bribe by any means anyone to come, but just to say, hey, it's fun here at school. School's not a bad place. So just, you know, the board continually promoting our schools and getting parents excited about school. So parental involvement would probably be our biggest thing.
Okay,
At Saddleback.
thank you.
All right, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Is that me or you? Me. Mr. Watson, you're up. He's going to give us a Beyond Textbook presentation.
Governing Board, President Anderson, Dr. Chestnut, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time tonight. I think probably close to a year ago, I gave you some information on Beyond Textbooks, and we felt it was definitely time to give you an update as to where we were at. So hopefully this evening I will fill you in on our progress there and give you a chance to ask any questions that you have. So first off, in case you've forgotten, or for our new members, Beyond Textbooks is a K-12 curriculum framework. So it covers all of our current grade levels. Within Beyond Textbooks, all of the standards are lined out on a suggested timeline. And they come in the form of calendars, and those calendars can be viewed in weekly, daily, and monthly formats. And the Beyond Textbook platform also provides a number of teacher resources, although I will say that the program is not an entirely scripted or canned curriculum program. It is much more a curriculum framework where resources are available to accompany the standards. And along with that, there are formative assessments to accompany the standards so that teachers can assess how effectively students are learning what they've taught over short periods of time. That's what the formative assessments help do for the teachers. In terms of progress, last year we implemented Beyond Textbooks during the 2013-2014 school year. As Mrs. Williams stated, last year Beyond Textbooks had the standards for the Arizona College and Career Readiness Standards in mathematics, but not in reading because Ames was still in play at the time, and so reading standards were left as the old state standards in Beyond Textbooks so that students could still prepare for the Ames exam. And then this year, Beyond Textbooks moved to both mathematics and reading following the Arizona College and Career Readiness Standards. Some things to celebrate that we've seen so far is that, as you well know, our scores continue to grow this year. As a result of our state testing last year, as well as district testing that has taken place, we do continue to see growth. Within the Beyond Textbooks program, teachers have the opportunity to submit and contribute lessons and ideas. And every time they do so, all of us at the district, as well as principals, are notified that teachers have submitted those things, and they get an email back from Beyond Textbooks thanking them for their contribution. And all of those are looked over, so you can't just submit just anything. They look at them for validity and credibility, and so, you know, it's great when our teachers have contributed to that program that benefits, you know, a number of districts. So in that sense, they're able to collaborate not only with their colleagues, but other colleagues around the state. Another great thing about it is that we do have a district-wide roadmap, so to speak, of standards that is in place, and it's accompanied by those formative assessments that are meant to prepare students for our current academic rigor and upcoming state assessments, hopefully. Some of the challenges, because it can't always be good, is that Beyond Textbooks, especially last year and perhaps a little bit this year with the addition of the reading standards now being college and career readiness standards, is that there is that issue of another new thing for teachers to work with and adapt to and plan for and prepare for. So we all know teachers are very overwhelmed on a daily basis, and so every time you add something new to the plate, it takes a while to adapt and adjust, and that's one of the things that myself and other people in the curriculum department and our coaches spend a lot of time helping those teachers adapt to these new challenges and finding the resources and addressing problems and questions that they have. Last year, I heard a lot of concerns about the pacing, especially with math. I know some of you did as well. Some of that could be attributed to beyond textbooks. Some could be just attributed to the fact that we moved to officially the college and career readiness standards, which did step up the rigor some. So that was a challenge. We've heard a lot less this year. There have been a lot less comments and concerns coming regarding the pacing. Not that they've died off entirely, but it seems that teachers are adjusting to that pacing. One of the other challenges with the formative assessments is, as I'm sure you heard, there seems to be a lot of assessment going on this year. And that's something you'll hear from students and teachers. And some of that is a philosophical shift from what we've seen in the past, in that if teachers are using the formative assessments, part of the idea behind that would be that some of those assessments that they would have given in the past, you know, your weekly quizzes or your weekly tests, philosophically, some of those would be replaced by these formative assessments, and I think it's finding that middle ground where you let go of some of those tests and quizzes that you had before and let some of these formative assessments take the place of those weekly tests and quizzes that you had before, because obviously if you hold on to those and then add on another level of assessment and add on another level of assessment, then that can become very stressful. So. And it's kind of mix and match depending on teacher and school as they've adjusted and given the direction from their site admin as to how they're using the formative assessments, how frequently. But again, the idea behind the formative assessments is they're kind of like that pulse check. Ideally, they'd be given weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the standard and the length of time that you were supposed to spend on a standard, and it would again inform the teacher how well they've taught a standard that they were just covering for that week or that 2-week period, depending on how long the prescribed time is for a standard, and it lets them know quickly how well they've done. Those tests are generally, or those assessments, those formative assessments are 5-question assessments. I gave you some samples that should be there in front of you. They typically are 3 multiple choice questions and then 2 open-ended response type questions. So very similar to testing formats that they would see both with the old Ames assessment and the new AZ Merit assessment. So quick little pulse checks. Yes, sure, yeah.
Ask a question here. Because we also do that with the Galileo, and the teachers say that's how they know when they need to go back and reteach something. So why do we need to do both?
Good question. Excuse me. The Galileo assessments are summative assessments. They're not assessments that are given on a weekly basis. A Galileo assessment typically comes at the end of a quarter and would serve as a summative assessment to see how well they've retained information and concepts that they've been taught over a period of time. Galileo is not an assessment system that we have in place to be testing weekly, although it can be used in that capacity somewhat, depending on the standards. They do have certain sets of practice questions that can be used. But currently we use it as a summative assessment at the end of quarters and at the end of semesters to see how well overall the students have retained long-term information versus the short-term.
But do those tests align with beyond textbooks? Or are we testing 2 different things? That's my concern as a parent. I see that they're testing 2 different things. I mean, I could see if they aligned up, you know, and so when you give the Galileo, it's kind of backing up what you've just taught and assessed in beyond textbooks.
Right.
So is there just a disconnect, or am I just out of the loop?
No. When you look at a Galileo assessment, one of the things that Rick and I work on when we work on the Galileo assessments, we submit test plans for those assessments. And when we submit those test plans, we take the beyond textbook standards as they are lined out for a quarter or for a semester, and we submit a test plan to Galileo saying we want questions asked on those standards that were taught that quarter or that semester from beyond textbooks. So a portion of the test, I would say approximately 3/4 of the assessment, is based on those standards that were covered in beyond textbook books. One of the things that we ended up adding this year to the assessments, because we needed to be able to track growth throughout the entire year, was that we added year-long standards, standards that maybe haven't been taught yet but are going to pop up throughout the year, or maybe they're standards that get repeated throughout the year. And to measure growth throughout the year, you kind of have to keep an apples-to-apples comparison. And if without adding in those year-long standards and just having the beyond textbook standards, we wouldn't be able to track growth throughout the year. So 3/4 of the assessment is strictly those beyond textbook standards that were taught that quarter or that were taught that semester, because Rick and I submit those test plans to Galileo and they come back with questions on those standards. And then the other quarter, like I say, are those year-long, so that teachers can gauge two things. One, they can look at those beyond textbook standards and say, okay, this is how well my students have retained this and how well I may have taught that and what I may need to go back and reteach. And then those year-long standards kind of give them a pulse as to, okay, I've got this standard coming up. This gives me some idea of where my students are at on that knowledge and on those concepts and skills, so that they can better start preparing them as those standards come up throughout the year.
Okay. I mean, it's hard when a student takes a final at the end of the semester, which they all did, and they get their final back, and a fourth of the questions had nothing to do with what the teacher taught in class. So it's still their final, so they're still graded on it. So the student thinks, what did I miss? And I understand that those are the new things that haven't been taught. However, to put it into a final is a little concerning to me, because then the student thinks, I'm stupid.
Right. And I think part of that is a communication issue, and we've been working with our teachers to make sure that they are communicating to them kind of our new assessment model, because even though we're talking secondary final exams, those are graded. Those standards that are year-long standards are not graded for the exam. When the student gets their exam grade, those standards are taken out of the grade overall, so we wouldn't grade them on standards they haven't been exposed to. And I think that has to be communicated well from teacher to student and parent and so forth. And we have spent time, last year, one of the concerns that was brought to us from the teachers is that they wanted to be able to measure that growth as well as gauge where students were on BT. And so our solution was this hybrid assessment. But with that, we have to keep communicating, and we have, and we will continue to do so, that there is that hybrid form of assessment. And when we attach a grade to an assessment, we want to make sure that that grade is only for those standards that have been taught, and make sure that people understand those standards that have yet to be taught. We're just getting a gauge as to where students are at. That's giving teachers some feedback so that they can prepare for upcoming standards, or for standards that may have been taught first quarter and we're now at the end of second semester, and that standard is going to reappear in one form or at a more advanced level, third quarter or fourth quarter.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Question, since we're talking about the assessments and the formative assessments with beyond textbooks. One of my concerns is that what I've been told in terms of being a parent with the child taking these formatives is they're not allowed to be sent home, so we're not allowed to see what our children may be missing or not getting. And it's especially concerning, of course, when your child who you're used to getting good test grades from comes home with a 60, and he can't explain it to you, and you don't get to know. What's the protocol for that?
That's a great question. That has been one of the challenges that we've had, is that you are used to an assessment coming home if a student didn't do so well on it, or even did. You want to be able to look at the assessment and see where things are. Because the Beyond Textbooks formative assessments are proprietary to Beyond Textbooks, they are exams that are given year after year, and so there's a certain test security protocol in place where you wouldn't want to send it home, because then you've kind of eliminated all kinds of test security. At the same time, because that concern has come up, we've encouraged teachers and administrators and sites to keep all of those assessments in files and in portfolios, and when those parents ask to see them and when they have parent nights, making sure that teachers and parents have the opportunity to review them, but that they stay on site so that we maintain a certain level of test security. But it is hard not to be able to send it home, but those tests aren't always recreated year after year, so there becomes that test security issue.
And I understand the test security issue. Maybe it's something that we take to the Beyond Textbooks folks, because we are paying for the service. And my concern is parent involvement. And if parents aren't seeing the grades coming home from their kids, how are they going to know if their kid's on par? And how are they going to know if they need to, get their kid more focused? Or how do they even know if they go talk to their teacher about how to help their kid? Because they don't know, at any given moment, you don't know what their test grades are unless you just call randomly and go meet. And we all know that parents are busy, and that's not what they're, doing every day. And so, I think hopefully we can look into some way where our parents can be kept apprised of their children's grades, not just quarterly and with report cards, when all of a sudden you realize, oh no, they failed 2 tests. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think that that's one of the things that we work on as we adapt to, new technology and new programs, is how we can best communicate those things, and that's a great concern that's come up, and we're constantly adjusting and adapting, and that's something we'll take to heart and see how we can better communicate that. So, oh, absolutely, sure.
No idea. I mean, we want parent involvement,
But they have no.
but as a parent, it's very difficult to be involved. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm on the outside looking in this bubble, and I have no control over what's in there, and so it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's great feedback, and we'll work on our communication in that area.
Mr. Watson, I have a question. How is Beyond Textbooks being used in our special education, with our special education students? Are they following the same type of rigor, or do they have something that is adapted to what their needs are?
That's a great question. They do have the Beyond Textbooks framework, but as with any other curriculum, they adapt and modify according to their students and to their classroom. So, for example, let's say that a standard is prescribed to take 10 days to teach. Obviously, their student population may require teaching that standard longer. It may take 3 weeks to teach that standard. It might make, the assessment can take one form in the regular ed classroom, and then for our ESS students, it may look different depending on what modifications need to be made for the students.
Are they still required to take the same amount of assessments, formative assessments then?
Required, no. It depends on the teacher's classroom again and where those students are at. I can't paint a broad stroke of all of the ESS classrooms, but to give you an example, a high school ESS teacher may be using the assessment, but using it as a whole class teaching tool rather than a one-on-one assessment.
Okay.
And typically, I will say, just kind of in what we've seen, obviously pacing looks different with those students, and they may not cover as many standards and as many assessments as a result of the needs of the students.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question regarding the assessments. For the teachers, once the aggregate data is compiled, how easy is it for the teachers to differentiate, for the baseline, the individual scores versus the overall scores, in order for the teacher to maybe pinpoint, a certain student, or overall, this is what I need to do? How easy or difficult is that for the teacher to do that extra work? I mean, is it provided, or is it something that they need to do and figure that themselves? Is it extra work for the teachers? Help me understand that.
Okay, that's a great question. That is one of the nice things about Galileo, in that it is a data warehouse of sorts, and all of our teachers have been trained on Galileo. Some are more comfortable with it than others, depending on their technology expertise and comfort. They do have access to the Galileo system, which will break it out from whole class level, school level, all the way down to student level, by standard, by class, by benchmark test, all of those things. On top of that, knowing that we do have varied levels of proficiency with Galileo, our director of assessment constantly publishes data and sends it out to the whole school and to teachers. I mean, I think today I received, 4 different data reports from Rick, and that's not unheard of. Anytime an assessment is given, Rick is very good about providing the principals and the teachers all of the data that they need. And at any time, if one has a question, they ask Rick, and I would say within 24 hours, unless we're right in the middle of an assessment cycle, he has it back to them in whatever form they've asked.
Okay.
Okay. One last challenge on the list here is that as with any school in any school system, you have some teachers who really would like a more prescriptive curriculum script, whereas Beyond Textbooks is not that prescriptive curriculum script. It is more a curriculum framework that lines out the standards in a certain progression, but it doesn't necessarily say, okay, day 1, here's your warm-up activity, say this, do this, do this, do this. Although there are lessons available for many of the standards, it is not a canned curriculum program by any means. And some teachers want that and some teachers don't want that. And I think for those that do, there are grade levels and teams and teachers who are building that script to work for them, and that's one of the challenges that we have in preparing that, and that again is where the coaches and myself and other members of the curriculum department come in and helping provide resources and answering questions that they may have and pairing them up with other school sites or mentors that have strengths in certain areas where they might have need. Moving on into the future, with the standards and assessment changing last year and this year, it's difficult to attribute success or failure to the implementation of Beyond Textbooks because, again, we're doing a comparison of apples to oranges. Yes, we did see growth, but can we say it's necessarily attributed to Beyond Textbooks? Not yet. Not yet. It is promising, but again, to tie one to the other with the change of standards and the change of assessments, it's premature to do that at this time. Continued use with a consistent set of state standards and assessments will allow for accurate assessment of the program in the future as soon as we have some consistent targets to chase and an assessment to meet. It will be better. We'll be better able to attribute success or failure to Beyond Textbooks. And with that, I know I've covered a lot of your questions, but if there's something else that you have, I'd be happy to answer. Okay. Okay.
First question is, how much does this cost us a year? And the next, want me to ask? Go ahead and answer that one.
Beyond Textbooks?
Yes.
It costs us $43,100 this year.
Okay. And then when teachers submit into the data bank, do we get money kicked back to us?
We do not.
Oh,
We do not
okay.
get kickback.
Wishful thinking.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so Vail is this is their baby, Vail
Yes.
Unified, correct,
Yes,
in
it is.
Tucson.
Mhm.
Do they also do Galileo, or do they just do this Beyond Textbooks assessment and then now the Common Core or the College and Career Ready standard? Do they do Galileo too?
They do Galileo as well, yes.
So have they found a way to blend the two?
They use it very similar to the way that we use it, with the exception that they have not put in the growth standards the way we did this year. They give their quarterly assessments solely on the Beyond Textbook standards within that quarter and within that semester.
Okay. You answered all my questions. Anybody else? Are we good? Okay. Thank you. Are you exhausted now?
I know,
We really
that was a
grilled
lot,
you on
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, if you think of something
I
else,
warned
though-
you.
I know, yes. If you think of anything else, though, please email me and I'd be happy to get back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty and the report. I know it was labor intensive, so thank you.
You bet. One other thing I just want to add is that, again, with this and everything else, we're constantly seeking feedback from teachers and parents
Okay.
and community. And Kristen and myself get contacted every day about all kinds of curricular needs. And we make adjustments every year to what we do based on teacher feedback. And as I said, one of the adjustments we made this year was to the assessment based on the feedback we'd gotten from our teachers. So.
Is there a way, I guess I do have another question, is there a way that principals can assess teachers and find out which one is more valuable in the classroom? Whether it's Galileo or beyond textbooks?
Principals do get reports
Okay.
on how teachers are performing based on their student academic performance. Yeah, that's one of the things that Galileo.
But even beyond performing, I'm talking about, are teachers seeing the growth in the classrooms? Are they seeing the light bulbs go on in their students' heads in the classroom? You know, which one is more useful to the teacher, I guess? Can you email us that later?
I guess I'm confused a little bit. Like, what would you want to know?
I want to know from the teachers, which of these assessments is more applicable to the classroom?
Between
Between-
textbooks, formative assessments,
And Galileo,
Okay.
and now with our new college and career-ready standards. I mean, that's three things.
3 different assessments.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Can you send that us when you get it?
Get some feedback on that.
Yes, I mean, I want to hear from teachers. They're the ones doing it every day.
Right. Mhm.
You know, I can look at it from a parent and a school board person, but I want to hear from teachers. They're the ones that are teaching it.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
By 9 o'clock, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks. I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
I think sometimes some teachers just, they think things to themselves or maybe share it with their peers, but they don't report it back to district.
Absolutely.
How useful they're finding it, because I've had some people tell me they think it's useful, and some people tell me that their standards, that the first year they went by beyond textbooks, they never taught because it wasn't in beyond textbooks, and then their kids were tested on it. And so now they're using some other form of curricular direction to help guide them, because they don't trust. They have a lack of trust in the system, in the beyond textbook system. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually perfect timing, because we have a coaches meeting this Friday, and our coaches, one of the directives we're giving out is that in their upcoming grade level meetings is we want feedback on our current assessment system and our current curriculum system, and then that will be brought back to us
Perfect.
via the coaches
Great.
from their grade level meetings. So
Awesome.
good timing. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, that brings us to Dr. Chestnut and the budget update. Another happy topic.
As I mentioned, we had a Budget Committee meeting last Wednesday on the 7th, and our fearless leaders are Jim Irving and Rick Nielsen, and Rick is here with us tonight in case we have any additional questions. Just to go through the information that we covered at that meeting. First of all, we've been reminding the committee of the big picture, and in this school year, our M&O budget is, our revenue budget is $31,450,000. You compare that to what we are projecting for next year. It's kind of a tentative projection that Mr. Roush has prepared, but he is anticipating at this time $31,850,000, an additional $400,000, and that is from the inflation funding that the state has been funding for the last few years, and we anticipate that they will continue to do that. So it's not a lot more money than we had this year. We got a little spoiled this year with additional funding from district-sponsored charter schools. So that's kind of the big picture. Some other things that we have talked about, and both Jim Irving and Rick Nielsen have done a good job reminding the committee that we also need to look at cost savings, and so we are in the process of looking at the possibility of contracting out ground services, custodial services. We're looking at district office staffing. We're looking at staffing across the district, basically. And then we're looking at a long list of other things as well. I recently sent out an email to all staff. I sent it twice to ask for their feedback on ideas, small and large, on how we could save money. And so I'll be compiling that information and share that with you. But cutting costs and expenses is part of this discussion as well. So the other thing, that the big project we've been working on this last meeting was to categorize the needs and then to rank them as either critical, essential, or desirable. And so there's a slide for each. I'm pretty sure I had this same information in the board packet, but this is a little different form. Same information, however. And this is the long list of items that the Budget Committee thus far has labeled as critical. And I think I might have been cheating a little bit to call the top one highly critical, because that was kind of a special category. But a lot of interest in that one. Those are the critical items. Now you can see that the column there called estimated cost has not been filled in yet. And Mr. Roush is working on that, and at our next meeting, he's going to have that information. And the entire committee knows that this is a long list that would cost millions and millions of dollars to fund. And so, but at the same time, if you want to establish your priorities, you have to get all the ideas out on the table, and then you discuss them and prioritize them. So that's where we're headed. We'll get the estimated cost, and then we'll go back and decide, well, what really is a critical priority, and that kind of thing. And so that's really what we'll be going with on our next meeting. So that's the critical list. That is the essential list. And then this is the desirable list. So thus far, those are all the things that we would like to fund, and obviously we're not going to be able to do all that. Everybody knows that, but it's been an interesting discussion thus far to find out, what are the items of greatest interest. So you can see, going back to the first slide, the critical items that are of highest interest to the committee are elementary school counselors. You could call them social workers, that kind of thing, but something along those lines. Second item, retain current positions. I mean, there's a desire to not reduce staff. Third one, a cost of living raise across the board. Now, that could be a very small cost of living raise, but, whatever. We were able to do that the last 2 years, and we didn't call it a cost of living raise the last 2 years. We funded our salary schedule, but it's the same idea. The next one, a marketable gifted program is on the list, and we, I think, purposely put the word marketable in there. We want to be able to communicate to the public the cool things that could happen in a program like that. The next one, reduce class size, and we have a meet and confer process that actually concluded recently. I'll be sending you that information. Mr. Beckett led that committee, but they've been looking at class size, and they have some requests along those lines. The next one, additional computers. It's an ongoing need. And then the last one, increased technology infrastructure. As we add more computers, we need more infrastructure. Those two kind of go hand in hand. So those are the critical items, and we'll be giving you more information. So Mr. Nielsen and I are here to answer any questions that you might have.
Dr. Chestnut, does the committee have a copy of what our district goals are? Because we've set goals in order to be an A district. Some of this is not applicable to being an A district. So does the committee have our goals so that we can make sure that their suggestions are in line with our strategic plan and our main goal, which is to be an A district?
They do. We started that in our first meeting. Reviewed the 4 goals and our vision and mission statement. And yes, so they're well aware of that.
I'd just like to add that this is what you're seeing here is the result of essentially a brainstorming session.
Right.
Of all the ideas that are near and dear to the different people and the people they represent as part of the committee. And as we, refine the process or get through the refinement process, we will be more critically aligning those to the district's
to the goals.
Strategic plan, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? We have 2. You both sit on the budget committee? Okay.
Teachers and principals and community members that are involved, but if anybody else has ideas, email us. Email the entire board or email Patty and I as budget committee members, Dr. Chestnut, so that your opinion can be heard too, because this really does shape, the budget discussion and what our priorities and what we, do for the next year, the next school year. So everybody's input is welcome.
I agree.
We've already gotten some emails, and the more emails, the merrier.
I agree. That's very good. Any other questions for Mr. Nielsen or Dr. Chestnut? That was easy. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around and giving that to us. Okay, that brings us to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So that brings us to the item that I took out of consent, which is 6E, which is approve the clinical agreement between Grand Canyon University and Maricopa Unified School District. And I had asked Dr. Chestnut to kind of give us a background on what that is, because it sounded like there were quite a few advantages for our students, and so I wanted to make sure that the community knew that.
We're excited about this. It's a new partnership with Grand Canyon University. And Marilyn Wyant, our Director of Nursing, has really put this together, and we think it has some real promise and could help us. So I asked her to give me an explanation or a description of what this program would look like. We will accept a maximum of 6 Grand Canyon University nursing students, and then those 6 nursing students would be matched up with one student who has some kind of a health issue that could benefit from a mentoring relationship with that nurse. The parents would have to sign a confidentiality form and agree to this, of course, and then the nurses would receive appropriate training and supervision to work effectively with those students. Marilyn Wyant will spend the first day that those nurses are in the district reviewing policies and procedures so they're up to speed on that. And then the students, Grand Canyon students, would be in a health office assigned to a nurse for 2 weeks, and then they would, after 2 weeks, they would trade and go to another nurse to expand their experience. And they would be here from February through April. And so they'd get a real good exposure as to what school nursing looked like, get their clinical hours that they need for their college requirements and that kind of thing. There wouldn't really be another pair of hands in the health office because our school nurse employees that are MUSD employees will truly be supervising them. But at the same time, they will be an assist because as our school nurses go out and do presentations in classrooms, the Grand Canyon nurses would assist with that. They have ongoing daily issues that come up, and I think that the Grand Canyon nurses would be an assist with that. So we think it'll work. I know that apparently the Grand Canyon University professor just recently looked at a map and realized that we're a little further out than she realized. So we're hoping that doesn't impact the program too much, and we have hope that it'll work just fine. So we'll bring her back a report and let you know how it goes.
Cost of this?
Zero cost. That's one of the best things about it.
And what about liability?
We are covered, and we are, as long as we give proper training and supervision, we're covered in that regard.
Okay. And do we have any other agreements with other colleges?
We have one with Central Arizona College for dual credit. That's the main one that I can think of.
Okay.
And then I believe also we have similar ones for student teaching, now that I think about that, with ESU and University of Arizona.
Okay. Those are my questions. Any other questions for Dr. Chestnut? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Chestnut. All right, Mr. Beckett, it's your turn.
Thank you. President Anderson, members of the governing board, Dr. Chestnut, the personnel schedule, you have that in front of you tonight. I'm willing to take your answers at this point, or your answers, your questions.
Yeah.
I'll take your answers too, but your questions regarding the personnel schedule, please.
I don't have any questions. Does anybody have questions? No? I do have one. These stipends are the ones, for the second semester,
Correct.
right? Okay.
All the overload stipends are for
Right.
the second semester only, yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or motions? Okay.
You know, it wouldn't be a meeting without me asking you a question. Where are we at in our staffing? Are we full? I mean, have we hired all the open positions, or we still have a lot that are opened?
We're actually still looking for 2 positions that have been ongoing challenges, but we do have substitutes, qualified substitutes in the
So
classroom.
2 teaching positions?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or motions on this item? We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett.
Thank you.
7B, discussion and possible approval of the teacher termination hearings being conducted by a hearing officer. Dr. Chestnut, do you need to explain this, or does anybody have any questions? And this goes with our hearing officer list that's in our district office? Okay. Do I have,
Annual approval that we
already did?
do on annual basis, yeah,
Yeah.
done in the past. Mhm.
Okay. Any motions or questions? A motion? Go ahead, Dr. Miller, go for it. You too. All right, we got to get your voice on the record. We have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 7C, discussion and possible approval of the student expulsion hearing being conducted by a hearing officer selected from a list of hearing officers approved by the governing board. Discussion or motions? We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to 7D. Elect governing board president to serve from January 2015 to December 2015. And I would like to open this part of the agenda with the nomination. It's been a wonderful, I've learned a lot, and I want somebody else to learn as much as I have had the opportunity to learn. Being able to represent the state now is a great honor, and I'm very excited. So I would like to nominate Patty Coutre for governing board president for January 2015 to December 2015.
And I would like to second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This is yours. Although I never used it in 2 years. All right, we have 7E, elect a governing board vice president to serve from January 2015 to December 2015. Do I have any motions?
I'd like to ask the new president. I'd like to nominate Ms. Anne-Marie Knorr for vice president for the year for January 2015 through to December 2015.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a new governing board president and vice president. Thank you, ladies. It's going to be an incredible year, and I'm just excited to be working with this board. I think you're all phenomenal, and Dr. Chestnut keeps us all in line. So we're a great board. It's a fantastic school district, so it's an honor to be able to be a part of planning the future. So thank you. All right, item 8, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It is 8:03. Thank you. We still have people in the audience. That's incredible. Thank you.